your mission if you choose to accept it.
What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be counting down the Mission Impossible films, all 6 of them. I can't believe there's 6. If you guys missed my review for Mission Impossible Fallout, check that out. It's on my channel. That was an absolute blast to do with my friend Ryan Snelling, and the movie itself was here. But today I will be giving you guys my opinion on which movies work for me, which ones don't, and my personal favorite order. This is not what I think is the best filmmaking. That goes into it, but I like to take a lot of different things into account, and this is a completely personal list. The most important part about these videos is you guys giving me your lists because I love to hear your opinion. So shoot them down in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up if you feel like it so I can make more lists. But right now we are talking about Mission Impossible.
We shall start with the worst.
Coming in all the way down at the bottom is Mission Impossible 2, as it is on most people's list. This one was directed by John Woo, and the reason why this doesn't work is because it took what the first movie gave us, and it did a good job of giving us, and kind of switched it up, and I like taking risks, I like doing things a bit differently, but this movie just did it all in the wrong way, and there's so many issues within the story, the storytelling, and the filmmaking that it doesn't feel like it should belong in the Mission Impossible universe, because not that every movie is the same. They're all slightly different, but this one just feels so out of left field, and it does not work as a story, a plot, and there's just some really weird elements. Now, I really like some of the action scenes. Some of the stunt work is really good, and there are a couple of times where I'm like, okay, this is working. Why aren't we staying on this? But they just start to shift focus, and it goes on into why Mission Impossible 2 is not a good movie. And next up on the list is the OG, the original, the one that started it all. It is Mission Impossible, the television show. No, that's not true. We're talking about the very first movie. Our first introduction of Tom Cruise as this big-time action star that we know him as now. And he starred in movies before that had action in them. But Mission Impossible was really his chance to shine and lead this franchise, which what it was at the time was not really a franchise. It's like, all right, can Tom Cruise do this? Can he be the star of this action movie? And yeah, I think he did, and he did a good job, and this movie worked on a lot of different levels. Now, I watch it today and it feels a little dated, and I know a lot of people are going to get me for that. Austin, what do you mean? It just does. It feels like it's kind of its time. It's a very 90s movie. Some of the shots and even the angles, I'm like, okay, they probably wouldn't have done it like that today, but I did like some of the directing choices, and that first 20 minutes, what happens to his team, if you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it, but that really caught me off guard, and I think shocked a lot of people. It brought a lot of people into this franchise just because of the OMG factor. They kept that factor all throughout the movies, but it really worked in the first Mission Impossible. And the score, man, that theme was awesome. Next up is really the first movie on this list where I'm like, whoa, and that is Mission Impossible 3. Now, if you guys want to know my scores for each individual movie, go check out my Letterboxd page. The link is in the description. It looked like I gave it a thumbs down. I wasn't. But one thing I love about this franchise is it continues to bring on different directors, and J.J. Abrams comes in. He wasn't really known for making movies at the time, and he really set the standard for what Mission Impossible could be. The rabbit's foot, everything he did with the plot. Philip Seymour Hoffman is awesome in this movie. I think this thing has a lot of really good elements, and honestly, I think the story itself is a little bit better than my next movie on the list, but the next movie has moments, and it has ideas that I don't think were thought of in this film, but Mission Impossible 3 still has a lot of things going for it. I love what they do with the relationship between the girl and the guy. I don't want to get into a lot of plot details, but they're bringing back people that we knew and loved, and they're setting up all of these storylines that are really they come to a head in other movies. And up next is a lot of people's #1 favorite Mission Impossible movie. I have it all the way down. I'm not going to say down, but I have it at number 3 because I do believe Ghost Protocol is not as solid of a film as some of these other ones, but man, the moments in this movie, and particularly, you guys know what I'm going to say, it's the one where Tom Cruise is running up the bill. He likes to run, and I like the shots of when he runs, especially when he's doing this. But man, that building scene and what is built from the tension, we saw it this year in Skyscraper, but I think it only wanted to come close to what Tom Cruise actually did. I want you guys to figure this out. He does this stunt work in all the movies, but he actually scaled this No, thank you. But he's so awesome in this movie especially, and there are a couple of moments that I continue to think about. I'm like, oh, the underwater scene and the building scene, a lot of standout things, and then the interactions between the team. I think it's some of the best interactions we get throughout the entire franchise in this movie, and the introduction of Jeremy Renner. I missed him a lot in Fallout. I really like his character in these movies. I think they figured him out a little bit better in Rogue Nation, but a great introduction and a lot of solid plot elements and a few twists and turns that really work. All right, my number 2. What's it gonna be? Is it gonna be Rogue Nation? Is it Fallout? It is Rogue Nation. I thought for so long that this movie was the best Mission Impossible movie just because scene after scene of incredibly well-crafted action and tension, yet it brings it all together in such an interesting and coherent story. I have thought for so long that this thing had one of the most interesting stories of the decade. I love what continues to happen in this movie. The back and forth between the characters, the mystery, solving this puzzle, and most importantly, in my opinion, the villain. I think the villain is so good in this movie. I mean, yeah, the guy can fight, but he's not a physical threat. What he provides to our heroes, and you find out he's a physical threat eventually, but he's a mental threat. He gets in these guys' heads and he makes them worry. He makes them feel emotion and pain, and I think that's the most important aspect of a villain. Honestly, he's my favorite villain of the Mission Impossible franchise, and maybe that's because he's really one of the only ones that's in 2 movies, but my goodness, his story arc and his character, I love everything about him, and he brings so much to this team and this story. The back and forth between Jeremy Renner and Alec Baldwin works super well, and then Ving Rhames in the car. I love what Simon Pegg does. Just the whole team, every aspect of this movie works very well. The only thing I can say negatively about it is it's not the most rewatchable movie in the world, and it's very convoluted, and sometimes it makes you like, okay, is this making sense with this? But you know what? It's still a fantastic film, a great action movie, and it has some awesome music. But ever since I saw this movie yesterday, and I've been thinking about it, I think Fallout, and I think these other movies are great or good, or there's one that's not very good, but I think Fallout is just kind of on another level because it brings out everything that we knew and loved from the other movies, the incredible scenes from Ghost Protocol, and the really good plot elements from Rogue Nation, and it kind of brings it together, combines all of those things, and it's just like one action scene after another after another. You don't get a lot of time to breathe, but when there is time to breathe, you get a really good and coherent plot. And sure, it's very simple, but when you start to think about it, it gets more and more complicated, yet it's handled in such a phenomenally well-crafted way. I love the fact that Chris McQuarrie came back. Now, like I said, I like that different directors got to work on this. You've had J.J. Abrams and Brad Bird and Chris McQuarrie, but McQuarrie kind of finishing out this story he started out in Rogue Nation, I think is a brilliant move, and he's really upped his directing chops, man. The way that he films this action, and even Tom Cruise, oh, here he goes again, he's starting to run. You guys heard me gush about this movie in my review yesterday, so I don't want to hit the same points on the head, but I'm gonna say it. Fallout is one of the coolest action movies we have had this decade, and the scenes, I can think of 3 or 4 scenes that come close to the Ghost Protocol 1 scene, and that is monumental because that scene is full of such great action and practical effects. There's like 4 of those in Fallout, and they're all so well crafted. It's just a great action movie for film lovers and for blockbuster lovers. Not the store, because that's not the same thing. So that is it, guys. Mission Impossible Fallout managed to top the list. What is your favorite Mission Impossible movie? Thank you so much for watching this video. I am running out of time, but I will be sure to have another comment spotlight in my next video. You guys are the absolute best. I'm going on vacation this week, but I'm still going to try to post some videos. I will catch you guys later.